Hi, we're going to work on the creation of this part. We did it in class, but I just want to go over it again. I'll do it fairly quickly and point out a couple of the items that we had mentioned in class. First off, we notice that the dimensions are fairly large, so we assume that this is not a little plate that's 90 inches wide, or so we're going to set the dimensions of our sketch or our drawing to millimeters. So select a new part. We're going to say OK. Lower right hand corner here where the units are specified. Since our part template is in inches, we have to manually switch us to millimeter gram second. Left clicking on the front plane, choosing sketch from the flyout menu. I'll then utilize the center rectangle tool, selecting the origin of the sketch and dragging out. Now the rectangular property manager changes a little bit when you actually drop the corner, and you get an option of for construction. And we're going to turn that on because we're using this rectangle simply to locate the four corners of this. I think we can think of it as a gasket of some type. So come over here, I'll right click and go select. I'll hold down my control key, selecting the two perpendicular lines and setting them equal to each other. I can then go to my Smart Dimension tool, which I didn't turn on. I'll do a right click and select it from the flyout menu. Select the side, left click, and then put the dimension in as 90. I'm going to hit escape. I'll right click, go to my sketch entities and select circle. And now I'm going to put in 9 circles, 2 on each corner. That's 8 circles, and the last one is going to be at the origin. I only need 3 dimensions now to define everything in the sketch. I'll put those dimensions in right now. The larger circles have a radius of 20, so that'll be a diameter of 40. So selecting the Smart Dimension tool, come down here and make that dimension 40. The inner circles have a radius of 20, or diameter rather, of 22. And the large circle in the center has a diameter of 66. So the large circle and this lower right hand corner circles are all fully defined. And now I'm just going to hold down my control key, selecting all the outer circles, let go of my control key and select equal. I'll select the inner circle, hold down my control key and select the rest of the inner circles and make those equal to each other. So now the part's almost done, except that we have to add in these arcs. And we have 2 methods that we can utilize. The first one would be to use the 3-point arc tool. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to select the first point on one of the circles, the second point on another circle, and then just drop the third point to define the concavity of the arc. So now I'll just click in the graphics window so nothing's selected. I'll select on the arc, hold down my control key, select on this circle, and then select make tangent from the pop-up menu. Again, do the exact same thing on the other circle with the other arc. And lastly, we'll go into our Smart Dimension tool and put in the radius of this arc, which is 60. So over here, I'm going to hit escape so I can move these dimensions so that they're not kind of visible to us or in the way right now. I'm going to utilize the second methodology for putting in these types of arcs. And in that case, I'm going to use the circle tool, but I'm going to use the perimeter circle. And that allows me to define a circle by selecting 3 points. So I'll select my first point on this circle, carefully pulling down, select the second point on the other circle, and then just define the diameter by dropping a third point. Now, the utility of doing this is that it already creates my tangents. So I can go ahead and put my smart dimension in, and in this case, I'm putting a diameter in. So I actually right click there so that the diameter will stay doing what I want it. And the diameter here, if the radius is 60, the diameter is 120. Now I can put all the circles in. That's perfectly, and that's probably the way I would do it, because I can go ahead and trim this, but in my mind, that's an extra step. But just to show you, I can go trim now and just select the outer portion of the circle. And we are left with the diameter of 120. By the way, something I didn't show in class, if I want to actually now show this as a radius, I can right click on the dimension, and you'll say that down here on the flyout menu, there's display options, and I can now display it as a radius. So something I didn't show in class, but it's kind of cool to do it that way. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. How do we want to finish this? Well, I'll finish it doing one of each again. So on the bottom one, I'll utilize the 3-point arc tool. So selecting here, and select the arc is already pre-selected, so I'll hold down my control key, select tangent, select the arc again, hold down the control key, select the circle, and again select tangent. And in this case, I can just select this radius, this portion of the arc, hold down my control key, select this one, and set those to be equal to each other. And now on the last one, let me go ahead and just move these dimensions over here so they're a little bit out of our way. I'll again utilize the 3-point circle tool, the perimeter circle, selecting here, selecting there, and dropping it out, and setting the dimension for the diameter to being 120. Now I trimmed out the other one, but I'm not going to trim out this one just to show that there wasn't any real need for it. I'll say OK to dismiss the dimension property manager. We see down here in the bottom that we're fully defined, and now we need to extrude the part to 25 millimeters. One thing I'll note that we have shaded sketch contours turned on. If I turned it off, you would just have the entire part here. Now, turning it on, SolidWorks does its best trying to decide what are shaded sketch contours. But technically, this interior area that it's not showing as being shaded is also a sketched contour. Let's go ahead and do the extrusion. So we'll do Features, Extruded Boss. And we're going to go ahead and select our respective contours. So those are the 4 circles, and then the central region of the sketch. And then set the features to be 25. And we'll say OK. So I can, if I want to, I can sit here, zoom to fit to bring the part to make it a little bit larger. And I'm going to go here under my Evaluate tab. I'll go to my mass properties, and I find out that the volume of this part is 216,849.76 cubic millimeters. And the surface area is 42,143.21 square millimeters. All right, so there was a couple new things put into this part. I hope you learned something about them, and keep your eye out for the next video.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.